as soon as they finish this one.
Well, and the way they're going, it won't be too.
No. It'll be done by summer.
That's a little way before then.
Ready?
Okay, you ready?
Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Village of Ruidoso Workshop. It is December the 6th. If you would, join me for a moment of silence, and then we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the Zia symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures.
All right, thank you, everybody. Good morning to a windy, windy day. Madam Clerk, can you have a roll call, please?
Good morning, everyone. Mayor
morning.
Crawford,
Here.
Councilor Eby.
Here.
Councilor Letterman,
Here.
Councilor Salas,
Here.
Councilor Hooker,
Here.
Councilor Coughlin,
Here.
and Councilor Jackson.
Here.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Okay, awesome, very much. Thank you. And I hope everybody got the little workshop adder that we'll handle on 14, 15, 16. So today, no decisions will be made other than just regular item or consent item, and if we need some additional information. So, item number 1 is discussion on Resolution 2022-55, resolution establishing rules and regulations of the Meacham Meadows Housing Development and 99 Slope Drive. And so I know that we've been working on some of these things.
Mayor Crawford, members of the council, we have with us today our property manager, Kylie Berry, that's going to assist us with this, and the resolution has been revised. We've had some revisions after the last council meeting. If you want to step up to the, she's our expert.
All right.
We appreciate
Samantha's
Kylie.
not
She's
here?
really great to work with.
Doesn't look like it.
Samantha's not here? Nobody? Okay.
Touch the
It'll turn
on
green.
the outside.
There you go.
Okay.
Good morning.
Morning.
Mr. Mayor, and I know I missed the meeting last week, 2 weeks ago when this was discussed, but one of my questions in talking to some folks is about the security deposit. I don't know if it's been changed since that meeting, but if I could just get clarification, is it going to be where it's just the first month's rent and that's it? So, and again, my concern being a guy, if I was to move in there tomorrow or need to, I don't know that I could come up with first and last month's rent and then a deposit and so on and so forth. So
typically our office policy is that we require equivalent to 1 month's deposit and then first month's rent. If they're moving in, our rents are always due the first of the month. If they're moving in on a date other than the first, it's prorated out to the first with the full rent being due on the subsequent first of the month.
and I completely understand that, and I know you guys are in the business of rentals, and that's why you've been chosen, but I just feel like we, as the government, and unfortunately it's the statement of we're the government, we're here to help, it just may be difficult. And I don't know if there's been discussion with those that are on the first wave of moving in there and getting a feel. And I know somebody would say, well, we want to have these taken care of. We want to have them treated right, so on and so forth. And that's our obligation, to have people doing the right thing and keeping an eye on them. But I would just like to see it where it was a little less upfront. And that's just my 2 cents.
I agree.
From experience, and looking at and hearing kind of where we're looking at the rent rates,
It's cheap.
if somebody were to move out and did not take care of the place, you're looking at minimum $250 for cleaning. That's gonna be your basic long-term cleaning. If you have to replace anything, then you have that cost. Those are all costs and responsibilities of the tenant if they damage any of that. They leave, then you're having to file against them in court to try and recoup your costs. So it's more money in the end for you because you're having to then go back and try and collect and having to put out court costs for it.
But-
So that's our only standpoint, usually why we require that full month.
I just feel like we're taking that rent from each one of those properties, and a portion of that is going towards maintenance.
But we're
Eventually.
talking, we're
But
talking,
$12 ain't gonna maintenance, nothing's just, it's gonna take years to build that account. You know, it's not gonna happen
when we're
tomorrow.
not talking about maintenance here, we're talking about abuse.
Damage.
Damages from a tenant.
Okay, well then let's inspect several times a year.
But still, inspection is reactive rather than proactive. And even if you, like Kylie said, even if you go to court and get a judgment, sometimes you can't collect on those judgments because the people don't have anything to go after. As a landlord myself, I'll tell you that has saved a lot because I've had a few, some of it's not major damage. I've had one that caused about $20,000 in damage, you know, and we went after and we eventually got paid back. But there are always things that happen when a tenant moves out. They knock holes in the walls, they break things, they, whatever happens to be. It's a standard in the industry. And because our rents are lower than market as it is, that means they are coming up with less money. If they were to go out on private market and rent one of these, they would probably end up paying a lot more, plus the security deposit, which would again be equal to 1 month's rent.
Well, just know that there was one that just rented for $1,700 a month for a 3-bedroom, single wide mobile home. And this one is 3-bedroom, 2-bath, $835.
Yeah, 3
And so-
bedroom, your minimum 1,500.
We're stewards of the people's money, so we've already knocked the rent in the head, put it down low, done all the different things that we can. And just from experience, you know, I know, if you give somebody something and they don't appreciate it, they don't take care of it. And so then we're going to have you guys going over and inspecting. Well, why not just do it once a month and just go over and make sure that's going to be invasive. People aren't going to want that. And then we've already allowed dogs and animals in trying to put a limit on that. Then I've had people say, well, I've got 4 dogs. We have an ordinance that says you're supposed to have 3. I ask them, are they any of them registered or chipped? What do you mean? So, you know, we're already pushing that boundary. I just feel like that we've gone out, we've gotten money. We're supposed to be good stewards of this, just like we do with our company vehicles. You know, we have those inspected. If something's damaged or there's an accident, those people are brought in, tested. Those things are fixed, and we're going to have to do the same thing on these. I mean, I would like for them, they're already inexpensive compared to the rest of the community.
Not when you put it all together though, Mayor.
If you put what?
If you put 2 months.
$1,700 for first and the deposit equivalent to 1 month's rent, you're looking at $1,700. Most of the houses out there right now are and some that aren't even, these are new. Some that are in bad shape that are $1,700 and $1,500. That they're asking $1,500 plus a security deposit. And so there's only so much that you can do. I mean, and that's the honest to goodness truth. And so I don't know how we get past,
What kind of fees do you have, Kylie, to get in when somebody applies, somebody
So we
comes
do have
in?
an application fee. It's $40 per financially responsible adult. That comes directly from the company we use to process applications. It covers the cost to run credit checks, background checks, run references on employment, on income information, on past rental references, and it's directly charged to the tenant when they submit the application.
So, on your credit checks, okay, so how does that work? Okay, so I work as, in a restaurant,
Okay.
okay? And, so how does that credit check work for me?
So the credit check is taken into consideration with the ability to pay. So it's a whole calculation. We take the income, we look at the credit. If there's any substantial outstanding debts against their credit. It's weighed against their income as ability to pay. So that's deducted out of their income because ideally they're going to be making payments or should be making payments on those debts. And so we take that out of their income to be able to establish ability to pay. to
What
make sure they're
about
within the
hospital,
income
what about
requirements.
doctor bills and school bills? Do you take, I mean, you know,
Anything that shows on their credit and shows an active monthly payment is deducted from their monthly income to be able to substantiate ability to pay. So if it's showing on their credit report and it's showing monthly payments, that's taken out of their total income as ability to pay.
I just worried that we're not going to help the people that we're saying that we're going to help.
We are helping the people that had rentals, you know, and they had income of whether it's retirement or they're working or whatever. This has got to be close to less than what they were paying. I know some people that had, I wouldn't even say should have been renting those properties. They were dilapidated, things that you couldn't sell, but they were using them and they were paying this much already. I mean, we would like to do whatever we could for everybody, and I think we're making a great move in that direction. It's taken a tremendous effort and a lot of work to get here to offer folks these things. So I just don't see that giving somebody something else extra.
A lot of it, I think, Mr. Mayor, comes from perspective, and again, we listen to people that are in certain situations and talking about thresholds and how much money to get together to be able to make this happen, and it's just perspective. There are things we say we've done, we've gone out, we've put this together, and done monumental things in communities that's now going to be mirrored across the state, and that's great. But again, it's just listening to people and saying, all right, well, here are the concerns. And those concerns are, how much is it going to cost? What if I don't meet the threshold?
Right.
You know, what if I am on a fixed income? And,
What if I'm worse than Jesse James? I never paid a bill.
oh, sure. I mean, there's
And I need a
tons.
place to live and you
Yeah.
owe it to me,
Yeah.
because I've heard that too.
Sure.
And I just don't believe that we're dealing with that. There's some people that you're not going to be able to give them enough.
Right.
Okay? And there's other people that have come to me talking about it. And meanwhile, she's on her phone showing me comparisons to Lubbock, Texas, which is not the same market. Okay? And she's on an iPhone 14. And so I made the stupid comment of, how much did you pay for that i14? Well, I'm just paying monthly. Those are $1,000
Keep going.
or more. I don't even know.
Probably 15.
But it's about people's choices, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. But we're providing something nice. We want to keep it nice for people that need it. And I've talked to other people that they're so excited about the price of these rents, they just hope that they're able to be chosen.
Oh, Mayor, if I may, I'm assuming that these are month-to-month rentals, because it does say that you provide 30-day notice to move out, so I'm assuming it's a month-to-month rentals, not a lease?
So typically, the way our company does it is we leave it up to, typically our standard is a 1-year lease to begin with. And then at the end, it can renew on a month-to-month basis or extend out for a set period of time, whichever property owner or tenant chooses.
Okay, so you're starting with a 1-year lease.
And then at the end of that year lease, it would take a 30-day notice to vacate.
Okay, well, I'd like to chime in on the affordability and all that stuff there, and talking with, like Hooker and Susan have brought up as far as affordability to move in, that possibly on the lease, since they are signing a lease to begin with, to have whatever amount, whether it be a third, a quarter of of that deposit paid for the first 4 months, 5 months, whatever. And then, since they are on a lease and they agree to that, then that might be a way to help soften the 2-month rent up front.
So
Is that-
prorate it, kind of.
Mayor Crawford, members of the council, in discussion with finances, we could do it some sort of installment. If they could provide some proof of hardship and do an installment payment on their deposit or whatnot. We'd do some sort of process that way. Just have to provide a proof of hardship.
Are you going to waive the water deposit too? I wonder if P&M's going to waive their electric. We have a meeting with them on Thursday. I'll ask them.
Mayor and councilors, we wouldn't waive the deposit, we would just allow them to maybe pay it in 4 installments, like, Counselor Eby was saying that they're signing a lease, so you would know at least, you would get the deposit over a 4-month period, so maybe the first month, the rent is 800, and say we're gonna charge them 1,000 for the first 4 months, the extra 200 of the rent would be going towards the deposit. But there would have to be some kind of rule or process that shows that there is a hardship, in order to qualify that. It wouldn't be automatic. That might be a suggestion. But no, we would not waive deposits or anything. The only way it would be waived is if they had a good credit history with us and they've had service established for, I believe, over 2 years.
Well, you're in this business, so you see things happen all the time. So have you ever had anybody that signs a year lease and 2 months later they're not paying?
Happens all the time.
So what do you do?
File for eviction. 3-day notice to pay the rent or whatever outstanding balance is due. After the 3 days, we file in court. They're served with paperwork, whatever the court date is. We go with all of our documentation. Lately, it's been taking anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks for a court date. And then at the end of that, it's anywhere from 3 to 7 days before they're removed from the property.
Well, you guys know I work with a lot of young families, a lot of single-parent families, and I've been mentioning this to almost every family, every parent that comes in. They're all, when can I move in? Oh my God, that would save me so much money. And it's like, you're gonna have to come up with a first and a security deposit. They go, yeah, that's normal.
Yeah.
So from my perspective, working with those people that are potential tenants moving into here, they're excited. They can't wait to be able to move into a new place. Some of them are paying $1,200 a month for what's considered to be a 2-bedroom apartment, or a 2-bedroom home, but it's not a 2-bedroom home. It's like 700 square feet maybe, and you can barely fit a bed in there, whatever it happens to be. But for instance, this morning I was cruising through Facebook like I normally do, and I happened to see Counselor Salas had a post that he had shared from somebody else for a 2-bedroom for $1,200, and it went like that. So that's the market that we're competing against with this, if you want to call it a competition. We're competing against something where if you're able to find something under $1,000 a month for a 2-bedroom little home that needs some tender loving care, you're lucky. And we're already below that. So when we lower our rent down and then the security deposit is tied into that monthly rent, already these people are having to come up with less money than they would out renting from anywhere else.
Okay. All right, well, I think we have had plenty of discussion. Is there any other questions that we'd like to ask Kylie or Sam?
Kylie, does the company inspect their properties at all?
Yes. So we do minimum quarterly inspections. It's a 24-hour notice for inspection. However, we have to work around tenant schedules. We also do exterior inspections regularly. So if we see anything that looks out of place, anything, extra vehicles that shouldn't be there, we see extra pets, it's looking kind of messy outside, something like that, we'll go ahead and schedule additional inspections as needed.
Okay.
Okay, is there anything else?
Just wanted to add one thing. There is an emergency assistance program through the Mortgage Finance Authority, and so if there are individuals that need assistance, they can come to Village Hall, and we'd be happy to link them with those resources and get them in contact. One of the items that they can help with is move-in cost. So if they qualify for that program.
Is that the one that this FEMA was talking about that they were looking at providing?
No, it was the first town hall meeting we had with McBride fire victims back in like June, and the 2 ladies came. One was named Yolanda, and I can't remember the others, but they brought information for us to help people that do qualify based on their income and family size to get assistance for move-in for these homes.
Okay.
But I can tell you that, as we know about FEMA, it's one paper to fill out after another. And it's
Oh, yeah.
really not a lot of help.
Well, the assistance they were talking about was paying an annual, and they know they can't, it's not like this, where you have to have inspections, you have to have surveys, you have to have this and that.
No, but-
This is on a rent program that they know people have to pay rent. They were talking about paying some of their rent for a year.
Right, that, Mayor Crawford, members of the council, that was with the FEMA program. They had the rental assistance, and this is through the New Mexico Mortgage Finance Authority. I think we need to just contact Julie and that bunch there, just to make sure we have all those, we're clear on that, and then we can provide that to the council at the regular meeting.
Because they were talking about, you know, that's another deal of here free, you move into a new house free. And I don't agree with that either, on all of them. So,
I had a lady that discussed it with me, and she said FEMA, it's just one piece of paper. She thinks this is it, and then the next time she talks to him, oh, you got to fill this out. And she said it's really a nightmare.
I think we'd have them come in and talk to them and see, because the people that we've talked to acted like that it was, you know, this is the assistance program. They know it can't be forever, that it was going to be done. And my question was, how does that even work, that you can just keep paying for all that? You know, I mean, again, we're in a situation where we're paying for a lot of things for people, some people, there's some people that don't, that they've done everything right, bad luck, circumstances and things like that. That's the ones that we want to help. I know people that are habitual on things.
So do I.
And I just don't want to provide another easy path for this of abuse. And I want to make sure that we're doing everything we can, because ultimately we're responsible for these things.
One
And I
more
just want to make
question.
sure that we have it. So,
Kylie, let's just say I'm on a fixed income. And going through this process, let's just say that after everything, on piece of paper, I only have $50 left. Is that going to cause me not to be able to get a
sure.
Yeah.
But where are you going to live at anyway? I mean, where are those people at now? What are they doing
They're living
now?
with somebody else.
See,
What were they doing before then that they
They-
had no money? Was it something that they didn't have any expenses at?
No.
I mean, I'm just curious because that's what people are coming to me with, that they have nothing, but they were in a place before, but they had insurance, but it was underinsured. And then they haven't filled out the paperwork, because I've asked them, have you been able to collect? They haven't filled out the paperwork. I talked to the agent. They've been over there several times. And then they are living in a friend's apartment, that's a part of the house. So I understand that, but they haven't saved any money since any of this happened. They haven't paid any bills. Their friend is paying them. But I'm just using this as an example. They haven't saved one dime, knowing that this is happening, because in their mind, they're getting it for free because they were at some meetings.
Well, there are subsidized housing places like Ladera and Camelot.
Sure.
But even that, you've got to come up with something, some kind of money. So unfortunately, using that example you gave, Susan, with just having $50 left.
That's on paper, though.
Well, I think then it needs to look at what are the other expenses that are on paper. You know, I think it would be difficult to say yes or no. I mean, whether they really do have $50 or they've got more that they could pay rent. I don't know what it is at Ladera, the cheapest rents. Do you have any idea?
A one-bedroom at Ladera at $850, and the deposit was $400, or at least that's the return, well, minus $25 for carpet cleaning or something.
Something like that.
Is what's there, so, because when I found that out, that's what I was thinking, that, well, maybe we should cut it to half, $500 deposit and get it going on that part, but that was just for a one-bedroom at $850, I believe.
$850 a month.
Well, Sam, if we could reach out to those people to get
And that
that.
and that included water too, so.
Well, and again, it's subsidized, so they're getting some money on the back end to help cover
Yeah.
some of those expenses.
Yeah.
But we'll reach out to these organizations, Ron, if you'll make a note,
Oh, yeah.
to see if we can get the information, and if possible, have someone show up on a Zoom at least, to talk about the process, and then we can ask them those questions, if it's impossible or whatever.
Through MFA or?
Yeah, NMFA,
I have one more question.
shoot,
What constitutes a hardship?
I don't work with that.
that would come back to us, or
That would
what?
come back to you. I look at, typically what we're looking at is 2.5 to 3 times minimum income to the rent to be able to qualify, because then that leaves you money with being able to pay your utilities, your food, your gas, any other vehicle expenses, anything like that. So anything beyond that, that would be up to you. We have some people that receive assistance, but that goes through other programs, and then we receive the award letters. So, I don't know.
I would say-
Ron brought that up. Do you got any further elaborations on hardship?
Mayor Crawford, members of the council, that would be having to, if they're going to provide any type of documents or anything with income or anything like that, would be the only way you could determine that. You know, some sort of showing what their current expenses or what, you know.
I mean, I
That'd be,
know of a person that had a mild stroke.
right,
To me, that would be hardship, you know, and he's young, he's not working right now.
yeah.
You know, things of that nature, but, you know, all you gotta do is, and I know we say it all the time, everybody's hiring. So if somebody needs and wants to work, they can. And believe me, I'm super flexible. I work with people all the time on just what hours can you work, what can we do? So much to the point that I work for them now. I work around their schedules. And so this day, if I can't find anything to make money, I don't buy it. If they're not physically able, that's a different thing. That's a hardship. And if they're in advanced years, that's a different situation. You know, and those I think that we would have to take into consideration.
So I have a question. So on my rentals, when I have a prospective tenant who applies, then I get a phone call from the property manager saying, hey, there's a person, and it's a quick run over that person. And then I have input about whether we want to accept that tenant or not. Would it be the same thing with the village, or would you be making all the determinations about who qualifies?
So that again can be all up to you. Typically, if we have somebody that is just, there is no questions, they completely qualify, no issues on the background check, no issues on the credit, income is more than substantial, we just go ahead and qualify them. If there's any questions about the person, about the situation, we defer to owner. So it could be up to you. I could contact, if there's a question on a person, and approve anybody that is just no problem across the board, or contact on everyone.
So then we would have to designate somebody within the village for you to contact to make that determination. We wouldn't hold it up and have it come back to the council, but it would be, you know,
Something that could be decided.
some kind of liaison there.
Yep. So can I ask the lawyer a question? So, you know, we're always, in the meetings, they're always talking about anti-donation. And, you know, they're trying to work on anti-donation legislatively now. So if we have somebody that comes in, they don't quite meet the criteria, but we have a good feeling about them, or they've made a change in their life, or whatever, you get 10 people from the community comes in and said that she really needs this. And so we make an exception, is that doing?
Problematic?
Huh?
Problematic?
Yes.
Yeah. We'd have to develop some sort of standards of what, you know, hardship is in the eye of the beholder. So, you know, you guys need to develop some policy or some standard that you could weigh each case under and make a determination.
Okay. So do either one of you two have any ideas, or you find out where previously established hardship rules are? Can we get that information and have it given to the council before next meeting? So we can look at those and decide if we want to adopt any of those or add or subtract. You know, I just don't want to get into a deal where you're getting inundated, or we do, with people that are saying she needs it and, oh my God, it's horrible. And then your heartstrings get pulled and you're calling saying we need to make an exception for this person, because we get that with water bills all the time. that we then extend the water bill for a while to get them to pay. And that doesn't always work, does it, Judy?
No.
No, and then we end up having to go try to collect after them, and then we just put that in aw shucks category and, but we tried to help. And so I equate some of these things to what we do in the water department all the time, and then we have bad debt, we just have to move off. So if we could get some information from you two, and if you have any input.
Mayor, I need to do, because I don't know exactly what the law is on, to apply to this question, so I'll need to do a little bit more research, but if you think about it, it's probably also or we could run into some equal protection.
Well, and, because I've been brought on the table before, why did you have your snowplow run up in their driveway? Well, they're 85 years old, and they need to get out of their house, and well, if you just need to start doing everybody's. And so it stopped me from trying to help that one unless I go get my shovel and my little snow Joe and go over there and do it myself. And so I get that. We can't do everybody's yard. And so I'm not at will to make exceptions. And so we need to have some good rules to go by that do include hardships.
My suggestion would be a percentage of the income would be your threshold,
Uh-huh.
and then proof of whatever it might be. Instead of just everyone, free-for-all type situation, this percentage of the income and up is what we're looking at.
So, Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Since you've asked Zach about the hardships there, but he said that it would be up to you to designate or come up with some standards. Well, the whole catalyst for this Meacham Meadows was all started, of course, for the workforce housing, but then the emphasis was on the Gavilan Canyon, the fire victims.
Right.
So is it legal, or would it be that only those who were fire victims qualify for hardships, and then besides that, there are no hardships? Because that's what it really is all about to begin with, is to try to get.
That's a good point.
Right.
So if you were a victim, fire victim, then you could qualify for hardship. But outside of that, then there are no hardship rules, or let's say exceptions.
Do we have any clue of how many of those fire victims are still needing housing? Because here we are, 8 months later?
Well,
Substantially dropped,
yeah, it's like 6 or less.
something like that, yeah.
So could that be something to be looked at, Zach?
Yeah, like I said, it's a pretty specific question that I need to do a little bit more specific.
If you can-
Eventually, it would all weed out.
Yeah, if you could address those things, and as usual, when we get into the minutia, we make mountains out of molehills, what ifs. And we can what if to death, but if you'll get that information, those questions briefed and get it to us, Samantha, and if you guys would work on what, or something that we could look at adopting.
Okay, we'll bring that back as
Okay.
an
All right.
addition to this.
So let me guess, this one will be on regular item?
Kylie, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
What I find kind of interesting is nobody mentioned anything about the pet fees.
I-
I still think $250 per pet is high, but at least we've got refundable.
No, it's not, it's,
Let me add in one little thing about that. Some property owners have been moving to, like, if it's 2 cats, it's just $250 fee. But dogs are all $250.
yeah, if there's 2 dogs, it's still just $250.
No, she's saying if it's dogs, it's per dog.
But we
If it's
can-
cat, then
We
it's
could
just
change
one
it to
time.
the,
Yeah, we could,
just the
I
one
thought that
amount.
we had changed that.
We changed,
We did,
it was non-refundable,
Yeah.
and we changed it to refundable.
but it just says refundable $250 pet fee, it doesn't say per dog,
Yeah,
per pet.
not per animal or,
It
that's
says-
what I recall.
Oh, okay.
We talked about limit 2, we weren't putting a weight
$2.
limit, and it was a $250 refundable.
Right.
But it says refundable $250 pet fee, and it doesn't specify 2. But we said in here, no more than 2 in item number 1. So we're good with that for now.
Cats can be just as destructive, if
Oh,
not
believe
more.
me,
Especially an intact male, yeah.
but it says $250
Pet
pet fee.
fee, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just one fee.
Yeah, and it's
Thank you,
dog or
Kylie.
cat.
Yeah.
But you're right, I got cats that come up to the club and the furniture to pieces.
Oh, yeah. Well, or you get that urine, forget it. You can't get that smell out.
Okay, so next is going to be discussion on amendment with Cutler Repaving, Inc. through the New Mexico statewide price agreement number 90-1 805-19-16759 for pavement resurfacing and curb line milling on Hull Road, Service Road, and Reese Drive in the amount of $1,584,741.41. And so Ron knows about this one. Weren't able to get it this year. And then it looks like with the price of oil and material and everything, it's going to be over what the estimate is. So can you fill us in right now?
Mayor Crawford, members of the council, so we were awarded a grant for a total of $1,425,000. The project estimate is higher. They've had some escalation on diesel and trucking and since we submitted our grant application, but we had applied for $3 million. We only received this amount here. They did cut several of the projects. We'd like to move forward with this. Judy has, on the financial side, here would cover the excess. And this is an estimate, just like on the project we're doing with the first project with the state project, the estimates are a little higher. And then when they actually do the work, they bill you by the work that they do. So we've had a decrease on the cost, but it also could, if there's another escalator, and then it could increase it. But we want to make sure the whole road needs to be repaved. It's in pretty bad shape. There's some areas. And then the Reese and what's the other one, Councilor Coughlin? Service Road, I always forget. That one there on Service Road, we want to look at that with our street department too, because it's more of a narrow road, but we want to do some additional. And then we have some dumpsters on that roadway too that Adam and I went and looked at on Sunday, and we need to do some, kind of some planning on that because those dumpsters are right on the road and looks terrible. Looks like an alleyway is what it looks like.
Yeah.
We want to dress that up, so. And I'll stand for any questions on this.
Ron, I have a so I have a statement and a question. One is, I hope that the striping is a better quality on this project, because even Paradise, there are sections where that striping is already wearing off, and that was just done not long ago. The second question is, I noticed that there was a public information notice went out. They're doing repair work on Paradise. We just resurfaced that.
It's sinking. They had compacted it. They had done different things, and it just wasn't right. So when we went back and inspected it, we said, hey, this ain't right. So they're in there fixing it, and they're going to mill it back in to where it should be just smooth as glass.
Well, are they just going to do another overlay, or are they going to
No,
dig down and
they're digging it out.
and recompact it?
I'll let,
Adams.
Oh, here we go. Instead of me
I'll let Adam,
talking out of my ears here, just let the man tell you.
Mayor Crawford, councilors. So the piece that's actually breaking up, it doesn't have anything to do with the asphalt that Cutler laid down. It's the subgrade. So actually they're out there right now, they're digging down like 12 inches and coming back up. We're gonna actually let it dig it down, bring it back up 8 inches and let it sit for 24 hours and then cap the top. So, you know, it has time to set, it has time for people to run over it, and that way it actually compacts down. A lot of that road, you know, the sub base, you know, the moisture gets under the sub base, and it just, you know, you can put good asphalt over it and it's just gonna, you know, alligator out.
So you're going to go down 12, come back up 8, so you can have a 4-inch drop there for 24 hours?
And it'll be transitioned. It's not, we're not gonna leave it.
Okay, I'm gonna be bottoming out.
Ron doesn't want any more torque planes.
no, and also, Mayor Crawford, Councilor Coughlin, is that we still have grant dollars available, and when they come back to do this other project, if there's some issues with some of these roadways, we're gonna have Cutler come back and work on some of those also. We're just trying to get them now in the winter time also, and we're gonna see how they, with this paving, these patches, what happens. But whenever they did the milling also, we did encounter some bad areas on Paradise where they milled, and then we had the heavy rains and caused some, you know, there were some issues there also. So we were hoping we didn't have any issues, but we did. But we're trying to address that with Cutler also. But we do have some grant dollars that we're able to pay for these. And I don't like to see cuts myself. Or anything like that. That's my worst thing that I don't like, is seeing that, but.
Ron's really OCD about it.
Yeah.
So is the road totally closed for 2 days then?
No, ma'am, they're gonna close one lane at a time.
Oh, I see, okay.
Who did the transition into Hull? Did we do that?
We did it, yes.
Y'all did a great job on
Yeah,
that.
it is.
That was great, yeah.
Yeah, you took it far enough that it just feathered in. Okay, so what do you guys want to do on this one? You want consent or regular?
Consent.
Consent.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Adam.
Discussion on Resolution 2022-56, a resolution amending ordinance 2014-06, Village Ruidosa Personnel Policy, Chapters 8 through 12. Yes, ma'am, Cheryl?
Good morning, Mayor and Council. So this resolution is addressing Chapter 8, Employee Conduct, Chapter 9, Anti-Harassment, Chapter 10, Termination of Employment, Chapter 11, Employee Management Relations, and Chapter 12, Personnel Records.
And I'd like to thank Counselor Letterman and Counselor Coughlin for your extended work.
That's what you say now.
I would like to thank them as well, Mayor. They've done a great job. We've done a lot of work, and I appreciate their input and their engagement in this. And we're almost more than halfway. This will put us more than halfway through, so.
And,
Anybody-
you know, we've gone back and forth with different questions, you know, we've contacted Dina, the lawyer, and so there has been a lot of discussion and interaction and what ifs, like you were saying, a lot of those, as you're talking about things that come up and you go, yeah, but what about this? So we have done a lot of engaging with.
And I kept putting on my worst employee hat.
And you're good at it.
Yeah, your nightmare, yeah, and going through things. And there were, Cheryl, the last time we met, there were a few things that we needed to take back to Dina. Have we gotten that clarified or
Yes,
gotten
we have.
input on that? Okay.
Oh,
And that's
were
in
they?
there?
That is in here, yes, sir.
I don't remember.
I have to look at my notes. I know, there was some, Mayor, Council, there was some stuff on, predetermination meetings. You know, if an employee didn't show for a predetermination meeting, do
Yes.
they waive their right for the post-determination, post-disciplinary hearing? The guidance was no. We should still allow that, just to show that we've done everything we can to offer their due process rights. Just some things that we don't run into every day that we needed, that came up, and we needed to get clarification, so we knew how to handle those.
Some clarification for me on the political activity 8.6, the last paragraph. If a village employee chooses to run, they shall follow for 8 to 5 other employment. What does that mean?
Mayor, Council, I believe that's a typo.
Okay.
They should follow the other employment policy where they're,
It's listed in the opening.
yes.
Okay,
Yes, and I thank you for
I
pointing that
just
out.
didn't quite understand that.
What does that include? Oh, thank you very much.
Mayor, Council, so if an employee has other employment, we just ask that they fill out a form for full transparency, to ensure there's no conflict of interest. And they should report that annually to us. If it changes, we should get a new form, and that gets signed off by the director, the HR manager, and the village manager to ensure there's no conflict of interest.
And that makes sense. And then I'm glad to see that employees could receive tips on there, but it starts out there on employees may seek gifts. Can we just say receive gifts, monies, or gratitudes? And because I was going to tell Yvonne, now Yvonne, hold out your hand so the mayor could tip you for bringing that coffee, you know?
A sign. I am seeking gifts.
I was going to have that. Mayor, here's some water for you.
Yike.
I don't know. Those,
Oh, thank
I
you.
mean, everything's great. I read through it all. I mean, I really like it. It's all good, but those were the two things that just.
I would agree, remove seek and put accept instead.
Receive or
Yeah,
accept.
because
yeah.
then all of a sudden, they come up to pay their water bill, would you like to tip me? You know?
I'd like to ask clarification on one point here.
So we're talking about making the change on 8.7
Right.
to receive. What were you saying, Joe?
Oh, no, you guys going, You still talking about that?
No, we just wanted to make sure that we were going to make the change from
Oh,
C
sure, I
to.
want to thank Councilor Kaufman and Councilor Letterman for their work, a lot of work in going over this. But it was just on the weapons there, where it says that,
Which one is that,
that
Joe?
would be on page 11.
8.
It says that no village employee shall bring any weapon, but it said possessing a weapon while on village property or while engaged in village business. According to the state statutes, and Zach can verify this, that even a pocket knife is considered a weapon, a deadly weapon. I think that, I don't know as far as the blade length, anything over 2.5 inches, something of that nature, but you have most of your guys that carry
I
them.
don't know where it's at.
I still haven't found out what you're talking about, Joe.
It's right here.
On what?
891.
891.
Okay.
That, if we could get some clarification on that, because as far as the policy goes, it's kind of minor, but most people do carry a pocket knife or a knife that has at least a 2.5, 3-inch blade. And that would be a violation of your employee policy.
Under prohibited conduct, is
Yes.
that where you're reading it?
It's about,
Yes.
it's the fourth bullet down, I think.
Well, it's down on the next page.
Oh, it just says possessing a weapon.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so what he's saying is it could be a knife with a 2-inch or less blade. I know a lot of guys that carry that,
Leatherman.
Leatherman,
I don't have
yeah.
it. It's a 3-inch blade.
Yeah.
I carry this.
yeah.
This would be considered a weapon.
Yeah.
That looks like a steak knife.
I'm very good when I sit by him.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, Joe, and that makes sense, because yes, a weapon could be any knife could be considered a weapon.
Well, it's under state statutes, it's considered a deadly weapon.
Anything over 2 inches is considered a deadly weapon?
I'm not clear on the length or whatever, but
There was a case about 5 years ago from Clovis where a guy stabbed some people at a Walmart and with a little knife. I can't remember what the exact facts of the case were, but it goes into detail about what is a weapon. And my recollection of that case is that, yeah, I think what you just showed falls into that. I just need to look at that statute again.
yeah, because a knife is just a guy's tool, generally speaking.
Well, a hammer can be one.
Crowbar.
Yeah, I don't think we want, the intent isn't to make this so ridiculous.
Well, but see, that's what happens when you get in here, then
Then you get me.
and then you got Mr. Rotten employee over here that says, you know, what's the definition of is, you know, or was, you know?
Do you think, I mean, can we put something in, I don't know.
To me,
I would leave it alone.
well, how do we, you know, we're not leaving it up to the department director or the manager when a guy comes in and he's got his pocket knife out eating his apple and he says, that's a weapon, you gotta leave it.
Yeah, no.
It's not up to that person to determine that, right?
Right?
I think our chief brought up a very salient point, and that is, it is with intent. And
Yep.
I mean, you could get way too deep in the weeds, and I think you're just setting yourself up for more litigation by trying to make this better defined. I would leave it alone. What do
Okay.
you think, Zach?
I just found that case I was talking about. The guy had a switchblade, and there's a statute specifically
For
prohibiting
switchblades.
switchblades.
Well, I imagine that and stilettos aren't used for apples, so I'm guessing that we would leave this alone.
Okay. Are we okay with that?
I'm okay. I was just bringing it up just to have clarification on it.
Okay.
Okay, so consent regular,
Yes,
either or?
Consent.
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 A or B, yeah.
I said consent, regular, and you said yes.
I'm so,
I'm like, oh my God, don't give me that card of a question.
now I know you think I'm trying to set you up.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a trick question. Item number 4 is discussion on second renewal agreement between the Village of Ruidoso and Hub International to provide professional insurance brokerage services. Yes, ma'am, Cheryl?
Mayor, council, this is just a second renewal agreement with Hub. This agreement would run from January 1, 2023, and then December 31, 2023.
How'd they do, Counselor Coughlin?
I haven't had any problems with the insurance. I mean, I got problems with some doctors, but.
That's a personal issue that.
Well, when they bill and don't substantiate the charges, and what I got right now is I would get into my maximum out of pocket already this year. And one doctor said, you owe me this much, and then the surgical center said, you owe us this much, that wipes out your 2,500. Well, they didn't pay it in that order, so now this one, who I paid less, wants more, and this one that I paid more should be getting less, so I gotta get money back and move it around.
Well, see, that's whenever I call Nicole and ask them to check it out for me, because I get lost in the minutia. And in my opinion, that's what a broker does, is they help you walk through this, because the insurance language, I got a bill last week from something that happened 3 years ago.
Jeez.
And it was from an outside, he worked in Alamogordo at the Bone and Joint, but he's billed out of California. He's a nurse that does the injections into, 3 years ago, over 3 years ago. And I told them, I ain't paying it, I'm done.
I think the insurance is really good. We were in Oklahoma and Tom had to take me for my cough.
Oh, finally.
And, yeah, exactly.
We're all happy about that.
And, you know, I mean, the insurance was wonderful. Didn't get charged anything.
I have not had to deal with Hub, but yes, our insurance is excellent.
Yeah.
It's absolutely no complaints about our
Consent?
insurance.
Consent.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 5, discussion on state grants and aid for public libraries agreement with the New Mexico State Library for fiscal year 2023 in the amount of $10,254. And 72 cents. Diane?
Mayor, council, this is our annual state grants and aid agreement that we have with the state library. It's based on population and whether or not you filled out the annual report. You're not eligible if you don't fill out the annual report, so.
Well, thank you.
Well, good job for filling it out there.
Exactly.
So Diane, when you say it's based on population, Ruidoso population or Lincoln County population?
Ruidoso population,
That sucks.
because there is a library in Carrizoso, there is a library in
In
Capitan as well.
And in Corona.
Yes.
But there's not one in Ruidoso Downs. There's not one in Alto, in all
No,
those
there isn't.
areas that we serve out of our library.
That's very true. However, they do have a bookmobile that goes into White Oaks, I believe, and into Carrizoso. They also, I think, may go into Honda.
Okay.
Consent.
Consent?
Consent.
Yes.
Thank you.
When's her new heater air conditioner coming in?
Yay.
I thought we decided it wasn't necessary.
Wasn't necessary.
For members of the council, I know she's been working on it, and we did get the bid in, so,
And the purchase order was given to the company after y'all approved
Right.
the
Yes.
proposal. They have it. I have not heard anything more as far as where they're at on getting it ordered. Last I knew, when they said it was going to take about 22 weeks
Yeah.
before it came.
Sake.
It took 6 months for a 10-ton.
That's what I was gonna say, think about 6 months.
Carrier's out
From now.
33 weeks right now.
But when we get the word on when it's supposed to come in, we'll.
Let us know, yeah. We'll have a big party probably the same time as the police cars come in.
we probably won't be able to hear the existing unit though, so we won't know what's going on.
Yeah, well, I've had somebody standing out there with a noisemaker. Okay, thank you.
Thanks,
We'll put that on
Diane.
consent. Item number 6 is discussion on amendment to memorandum of understanding between the Village of Ruidoso and the Village of Capitan as the administrative authority for the Village of the Capitan Police Department for DWI enforcement activities, reimbursement of costs increasing by $2,000. Number 7 is the same thing with Town of Carrizoso for $3,000. The same thing is to be said for number 8, which is for the Ruidoso Downs City. Police Department, DWI enforcement for $3,000. And so 6,
7 and 8 consent.
Consent.
okay. Chief, I guess we didn't need you, man.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. As always, Bill does a great job.
Yep.
Bill Henson does a
We
great job.
appreciate your candid remarks.
Discussion, number 9, discussion on evaluation committee's recommendation of non-award of RFP number 2023-004P E911 address and implementation. And I think this one is Samantha, is that you? Or the chief, either one of you, because it's,
Oh, look at them get up.
This proposal came back, we deemed it, we did not want to make the award. They didn't answer fully to what we were asking in the scope of work. And additionally, we didn't ask for it, but they put a cost analysis in there that was near $2 million for the project.
and you know we're just talking about 911
Yeah.
addressing.
No.
And so they were the only ones that responded, correct?
That is correct.
And so,
We rejected it. The purchasing agent did all the formal paperwork and stuff, and we have ran it in the paper again, and it is re-advertised currently.
where are we advertising it, do you know?
I do not know. I can bring that information.
Yeah, we may have to,
It was in the Ruidoso News, Las Cruces Sun News, and Albuquerque Journal.
you read that somewhere?
Yeah.
I didn't see
It's on
that.
page 2, section 2, summary of RFP development
Yeah.
process.
Okay. Oh, there it is, first line.
So I have a question. I don't know if this is acceptable or legal or not, but I see 8 firms drew down the RFP, but only 1 submitted. Are we allowed to contact those other 7 and find out why they did not?
I'm not sure if we can, Judy, do you know? If we can ask them why not, we can ask them, or just let them know that it has been re-advertised though.
Well, that definitely, but I just didn't know if they drew it down and there was something in there that made them go, nah, I don't want to get involved in this.
If I recall, Counselor Coughlin and Mayor, I think they were saying that the firm, they did contact the firm to ask why they didn't submit, because they saw that, because I guess they were asking a lot of the questions. And when they contacted the vendor, they said that they were just awarded a really big job. And so the manpower for that job wasn't gonna allow them enough manpower to do our job also. So that's why they didn't respond.
Okay.
Maybe the timing will be better.
Yeah, so the good thing is that if we go out again and we don't get any hits, then we can go in contact with somebody directly and not go through the committee.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So,
but $2 million, oof.
That's ridiculous.
Heck, I'll do it for 1.9.
Yes, you would.
Yeah, you're moving out of town, so that's perfect, isn't it?
Yeah.
Get it all done and leave.
Yeah.
Okay, you want to put that on consent too?
Yes.
Thank you.
Heck, for 1.9, I'll leave tomorrow.
Yeah. Item number 10, discussion on renewal agreement, RFP 2022-005P with Pure Technologies US, Inc., DBA Wash Water Services for water leak detection services. Good morning, Ashley.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So this is a continuation.
This is a continuation. This will be our first renewal agreement that will run from January 11th, 2023 through January 10th, 2024. If there are any task orders, we will be bringing them to council. This is just to renew our contract with them.
Okay.
Do we have where they're starting? Because
We have not had that discussion yet. We will be having that discussion here soon. So the goal is to do a third of the town. They did the full village last year, or during the summer and springtime. And so we're just gonna do a third of the town from here on out, to make sure we can catch any of the large leaks and help reduce our non-revenue water.
Okay. Anyone?
I would imagine, since we just did the entire town last year, or just recently, start with our worst areas, the first third, and then go from there.
Yeah, and we'll be engaging Adam and Marty in this as well.
Speaking of Adam,
Here comes boss. Boss man.
Speaking of
To get you a
demand,
special chair.
Mayor, council, we will be addressing the worst parts of town. One of the things that we'll be asking them to do also is go back on some of the
repairs,
the repairs and the findings that they had found in the previous report. Some of them that we have dug up, there's nothing there. It's the turbidity in the pipe, the old galvanized pipe and stuff like that.
that they can hear.
Yes, sir. So we want to go ahead and have them recorrelate some of these places also.
So when you say the turbidity in the pipe, it's just got so much sediment in it?
Like the old galvanized pipe, the service lines, or the 2-inch pipes, when there's a lot of demand on those pipes, there's a lot of water running through there, and when you get like the fitting there, you're getting main noise. And I think that's what they're correlating to, so we want to make sure that we're finding the leaks that they're calling out.
Oh, wow, that's pretty sensitive stuff, huh? Any questions? Yeah, but if we could get a list of our, what areas of town we're gonna hit first and kind of a map of what we're doing.
We will definitely be doing that.
Consent?
yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, Ashley. Thank you, Adam. Item number 11, discussion on first renewal agreement with Miller Engineers, Inc., DBA Souter Miller and Associates, RFP for professional services for master planning and rate analysis. Yes, ma'am.
All right, so for this one, it'll be our first renewal agreement as well. This agreement will run from December 14th, 2022 through December 13th, 2023. And the Sauter Miller and Associates are doing our water and solid waste master plan as well as leading the rate analysis as well.
Okay, any questions on this one?
Oh, Mr. Mayor, just one. I mean, when we run through these, you're on a one-to-one communication basis with this company, and what's your opinion of them?
We've been doing really good work. They've been very responsive with getting us the information that we need as well as giving us their requesting information. I think it's been a pretty good process so far.
Thank you, Ashley.
Can you estimate how far along we are with this?
I believe Eric said, I had to double check, I don't see him on there. I think yesterday during the utility committee, he was saying we're 90%.
Oh, okay.
Adam, is that correct? Do you remember?
Getting your steps in, bro.
Mayor, council, they have completed the actual the actual document, like the water modeling and stuff like that. So now they're actually moving into the rate analysis of the project.
No, okay.
Okay. All right, and I can say, we've had an interaction on other items with Todd Finney, and he is super easy to work with, and if there's a gaffe, they've always taken responsibility. So, anyway, you want to put this on consent?
Yeah.
Yes.
Also? Okay. Item number 12, discussion on renewal agreement with Miller Engineers, Inc., DBA Souter Miller Associates for RFP 2022-006P for professional engineering services for water resource projects.
So this is also another first renewal agreement with Sauter Miller and Associates. The agreement will run from February 8th, 2023 through February 7th, 2024, and they were awarded the Lot 2 projects. So that includes tank rehabilitation and site improvements, different types of rehabs on other tanks, and PRV replacement as well.
Okay.
I was trying to think of a question that would require Adam to walk back up, but I can't think of one.
Well, you could say, Adam, would you come back up here? And then when he gets there, you say,
Oh, never mind, I forgot. I don't know.
Consent.
Consent.
Consent. Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ashley.
Mayor Cropper, members of the council, with Sauter Miller, we actually had a meeting with them last week regarding the solid waste master plan, and we'll have some updates on that as we go along. We're actually having another meeting with them late December, so.
And if I may, Mr. Mayor, as we've had all these discussions about the contracts and going back to the checks and balances, I'm assuming that's getting pushed out on all these projects. You know, when we had the situation in Upper Canyon, he said, she said, as you talk about this communication back and forth, is that still taking place, that kind of check and balance?
Thank you.
Mayor Crawford, Counselor Hooker, yes, that is correct. We are also with the other engineering firm, we'll be having those agreements or the renewals presented to the council. We've had some discussion on that also, and we'll have some additional discussion.
And we're really catching a lot of these things in the biweekly Thursday morning project management meetings from 7 to 9 or 10, depending on how rough we get. So, yeah, we're trying to stay on those because we hate those things. Okay, so consent. Item number 13, discussion on award of RFP number 2023-005P to the Agency for Marketing Services for the Village of Ruidoso, authorizing Mayor Crawford to execute the contract. Yes, sir, Mr. Tim.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor, Council. So this is the RFP. It's really an RFQ, so a request for qualifications. So there was no money associated with this. Now that we have the qualified vendor under contract, we'll begin negotiations on first task order, which will be the marketing plan, the comprehensive marketing plan that we will then build off of our execution strategy. So as soon as we get this in place, we'll have a kickoff meeting with the vendor and start talking details. So, and Ron, I believe that this, once we do get to the actual negotiation stage for budget, this is going through lodger's tax, correct?
I believe so,
Okay.
yes.
And one of the things that we've started discussing internally is with all the inflationary concerns and all the things that are going on in the national and world market right now is to really concentrate on tourism, to really focus on what it's going to take to keep people here. And historically, we've done research for many years how Ruidoso fares in recessions and things like that. And we typically do better than the rest of the country. So a lot of places, I should say, not all. So we're really, that's one of the things that we're tuning in to get an overall marketing strategy is what this is for. To come up with, you know, the balance of the direction, how we're going to do it. And then in that process, we'll look at, out of that, defining the director, or tourism director manager will come out of that. And so this is an encompassing, just like we do with the other master plans and comprehensive plans. So, and I see that we had 1, 2, 3, 4 people.
Yes, we did. So
Were any of them other local?
they were all New Mexico based.
Well,
Tim, do you know why the agency didn't get any points for New Mexico resident business preference?
well,
Can I answer that?
Everybody else did, but they didn't.
I can't answer that.
I guess she can answer
She can
it.
answer that. There you go.
Counselor Kaufman, Mayor. So in New Mexico, a resident business, just gets on Tax and Rev's, website and registers as a New Mexico business. And then they get this, certificate that says they qualify for the preference. The only difference is that the agency did not submit it within their package. They might have it, they just didn't submit it.
Oh, okay.
But it's very easy. Any New Mexico business can get on that website and, qualify for that certificate.
And so they would be receiving an additional
8 points,
8
yeah.
points.
Well, it's a good thing they had the high number of points anyways. I'd hate to see.
And Mayor Crawford, Counselor Coughlin, and then there's the veterans preference also. You can't stack them, but it'd be the veterans is 10 points.
Right.
They'd be able to select the higher of the two on that also on an RFP or a IFB.
Okay.
Okay. So this one will just be on the next meeting. So what you're authorizing is for them, they can make that decision today.
So it'll most likely have to be regular item.
But we're talking about signing the agreement now, aren't we?
Ron, we can.
I mean, I could still sign it with the resolution.
Yes, Mayor.
Mayor,
Go ahead.
So in the RFP, we had determined that, we were gonna do the overall umbrella, and then once we, break down all the individual task orders, the individual task order with the cost associated would come back to council for approval. You probably are just gonna execute the contract that says we're gonna engage with you for marketing And within the contract itself, it will say that each task order will be.
Is, yeah, task order. So the question is, am I supposed to sign that today, tomorrow?
Next Tuesday.
Mayor Crawford at the regular meeting, just giving you out.
Why do we, oh, okay, well, just, because before we would just sign it, things like this, and then they were,
Ratified.
ratified. So, okay, as long as there's not a big hurry.
No, her other contract, goes through December 31st.
Okay. Okay. All right. So now then she probably knows, so she's working on it. Okay, so, consent or what?
Yeah, consent's fine.
Okay. Discussion on recommendation from lodgers tax at regular meeting of November 22nd, 2022 for change order number 1 with White Sands Construction, PO number 23-00455 for the Wingfield House Heritage Center project, increasing the contract amount by $19,084.65, including gross receipts tax. Yes, sir, Mr. Roberts?
Mr. Mayor, Council, this is an additional, the change order is for hardwood floors, which essentially look exactly like the ones that we had to pull out. We were really hoping that we were going to be able to salvage some of the original floors. The changes to the house over time just damaged them to a point where we couldn't. So this will basically replace what's there. It's going to look really stunning when you walk in. So, and we presented this at lodgers tax at their regular meeting, and they approved the budget. So, or recommended approval of the
questions?
budget.
I hate these change orders.
Well,
I mean,
This is our fault.
Yeah, this is something that, well, yeah, and a lot of these change orders are our fault that come to us. It's something that should have been caught in the design phase instead of, putting in the LVT, but I just hate change orders.
We really thought that we were going to be able to save those floors. And so then when.
I get that, but then it went to LVT. So once we figured that out, and then the LVT isn't going to work.
So, Counselor, the plan was always and still is, we're putting LVT on the second floor.
Yes.
So,
Well, this is the original design for the Wingfield House, first floor included LVT. So that was the original design. Now we want to remove that LVT and put in hardwood floors. I agree, the hardwood floor would probably look a lot better and lend to the feel of the historical building that it is, but the original design should have been with hardwood floors, is what I'm saying.
agreed.
Well, originally, we had zero budget. We were begging for each little piece, so what we did is pull the switch back on you guys. Daddy, can I have a little more money for this, because we've already invested?
Bait and switch again.
Well, I'm telling you the honest God truth, that we went in there trying to do everything we possibly could, the
Yeah, now we're
committee.
so far into it,
And now so far in it, that what are you gonna do?
It's gonna look like a polished, what?
No,
and
it's
so-
gonna be beautiful.
But it would look a lot better if we did this. So,
Well,
yeah.
when we got in there and looked, as things progress and things are demoed and things are whatever, the committee that we've put in there, myself included, Councilor Letterman, you look at things and, the overall, and if I'm wrong, you just jump in.
No.
The overall ideal of it, we had a vision and conversation. And then when you come out and you look, and then you see what's there that we thought we would be able to save, and then how we're gonna have to maybe piece it, let's just redo all of it. And then since you're there, what's the idea behind this thing? And it's where it also came from, with a vision towards where we're going. And then we wanted this thing to have a feel of authenticity. So we went back out and said, could you please go out and look harder for something that would match up? And they came back and said, we can't find it exactly down to the inch, but it's very close. And this is what it's going to cost you, so.
Actually, the mayor's being very kind, because it's probably my fault, because through all of this, I wanted to save those floors. And, 100 years later, and through, cracking up the floor that had been put on it, it just wasn't viable. And so
that I totally get.
I finally had to say, okay, we'll take them up.
Yeah,
So-
if you get to a point and it's just, it needs to be removed, there's no choice. I understand that.
Yeah.
It's just the LVT.
I know,
Going from
I know,
LVT to
I know.
wood, so that's, but I think the wood is a great idea.
It will be beautiful.
So do you want this on discussion, or do you want it on consent?
No.
Consent.
Consent. Okay.
Tim, are these polished oak floors, the new ones that they're putting?
No, they're pine.
Pine.
They're unfinished pine, and, well, they're gonna come finished actually, and the finish is almost exactly matches the original. And the original was pine as well.
Pine as well.
Yep.
And the original was an inch and what?
No, the original was about 2 inches.
And then this one is,
2 inches.
oh, it is exactly, I thought it was off just a
It's
quarter of an
almost
inch.
exactly,
Yeah.
so, yeah, it's.
You need the
pretty-
thickness with pine because it's a soft wood. It's going to wear down.
So,
Well, given the price of a 2x4, it doesn't surprise me that the cost of this for a floor in pine is really as high as it is.
And originally, we were told that we couldn't get it.
yes.
You know, that was the whole deal with the LVT. We were trying to find something similar.
Keep selling, come on.
And I'm just gonna hammer this home. That We were saying it, all shucks, it would be worth it, and they came back and said, hey, we found a vendor that has it.
You know, you could always do plywood.
Yeah, I'm overselling to the point just like, oh, he had me, now he's lost me. Okay, I'll shut up.
I was
We already got the consent, Letterman, let's just move ahead.
You mean we're not going to get the 12-inch vinyl?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, item number 15, discussion on recommendation from Lodgers Tax Committee at the regular meeting of November 22nd, 2022 for critical repair work at the Billy the Kid Scenic Byway Visitor Center in the amount of $124,197.37, including gross receipts tax. This one was quite a surprise, so go ahead.
So, Mayor, Council, essentially what's happened is the porch in the front of the visitor center was not installed properly when it was first built. And over time, without anybody really noticing it, water's got between the building and the large roof structure and has, just basically rotted away a fair amount of the infrastructure and the structural integrity of it. We found this out this year. We did some exploration, and it's going to need to be largely replaced. We might be able to save, some of the structure, but it's going to have to be largely replaced. So we are pretty concerned that if we get a big snow, right now it's completely shored up and safe, but we're kind of concerned if we get a big snow on there, it could cause a lot more damage or complete failure. So.
Go ahead, Councilor Coughlin, ask the question.
Question is, do we have any idea of the time frame that it's going to take to get this project completed?
Yes, so I spoke to White Sands Construction yesterday, and they believe they're going to be able to start first of the year. Obviously weather permitting, but they're going to bring in a totally separate crew for this, because they have a lot of stuff going on right now.
That was why I was asking.
Zeke has already made plans to bring in a totally separate crew to get this done, so.
Because I was speaking with John, and he was saying he was going to oversee this one,
I think that.
along with the Wingfield House and the Meacham and
He might be.
Morton.
When I talked to Zeke yesterday, I don't know if they had talked again, so I don't know if he'll be overseeing it, but they're definitely bringing in a separate crew, so.
Okay.
I thought the question you were going to ask was, when the lady ran through the front window, did that have any effect on this? Should we have caught it before?
Well, you didn't let me finish my second.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
So what change orders are we anticipating?
We like to keep you guessing, so we'll make it a surprise.
Using steel or wood, I just was curious.
Wood, so it's a wood structure, so all the way through, so. And really what the issue was is the flashing between the porch and the wall, and they just did not do that properly, and it slowly got behind it, so.
And so we own this building.
Yes.
We own this.
Yes. This is the one
Right.
that I made the mistake of publicly saying it was the most expensive bathroom in town.
Yeah, don't say that.
Yeah, so I've since recanted that and apologized, and I don't know how many
So now
lashes.
you gotta fix the bathroom.
So now we're gonna tear, it's almost like, why don't we just tear the building down? How much is that building worth? How big is it? But, with Tim and the stuff that we've got going on with the new curator, which we'll meet next Tuesday.
Yes, she'll be here.
Stevie?
Great.
So we have plans, to tie in the whole Ruidosa theme and historical and all this stuff. So I think we're really gonna put some new life into that and really add it to it, so.
So because this building is located in Ruidosa Downs, are they going to be inspecting? Or do we have to use?
The state will, we can't inspect their own.
No, but it's in the Downs.
The state uses, the Downs uses the state.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, they don't use us.
Okay.
So the state would come in and do it anyway, with us being there.
Mayor, I had a
Consent or regular?
Consent?
Hold on.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
But it states in here that they're gonna be tearing down the porch and then replacing the roof on the porch. I just wondered what the, how many squares that porch is as far as the roof goes? Because it does state in here that in the contract, the materials, dumpsters, and miscellaneous is what's included, but then you go down to the roofing, it's 32,000 as far as the subcontractor. So what's that, 32,000? I was just interested in the square.
The square footage of the porch area?
Yeah, of the roof area.
How much materials?
Yeah, I'd have to
Because
go back and look and measure.
did
It's
that-
pretty significant. It goes the entire length of the front of the building and then sticks out about, well, some places 15 feet or more.
Okay, I was just
It's
wondering,
pretty significant.
with the 32,000 for the roofer, did that include materials? Because that's quite a bit, and so I was wondering what the square footage was that they were actually gonna be working on, and was that replacing the whole roof on that side, or what?
It's, Counselor, it's definitely replacing the entire roof on that porch structure. And as far as I know, this was a full bid quote, so materials, labor, everything. There should not be any surprises there.
Okay, so the roofer, on the subcontractor, the materials included in that bid?
Yes, sir. Yeah. So,
Did you want more specifics, Joe?
No, I guess I could ask, you could probably find out the square.
yeah, I can talk to Zeke and make sure, but there's no, whenever White Sands quotes anything on statewide pricing agreement, it's all whole hog, everything.
Well, it would just be scope.
Yes.
You know, is that the entire roof, or is that just the front, and what material is it? To be honest with you, I can't even remember what it looked like.
Because if it's just saying a porch, I'm just trying to envision how large of an area that is actually gonna
And
be.
what they're using, it costs 32,000.
Yeah, that's,
Is it a metal roof?
It is.
Yeah, it's green metal, right? Yeah. There's part of it.
Well, it is. I mean, I just upgraded from a composite to a metal roof, and it was about $20,000 more. 22,000, I think. But when you're broke and spending money, you can't. Okay, thank you. Do you want this on consent or regular?
Consent.
Okay.
We're not gonna have anything on regular.
All right, that one. Number 16, discussion on exhibit budget for Wingfield House Heritage Center in the amount of $48,000, even to include all exhibit furniture, AV equipment, case work, and printing. And so this is not a bid, this is a guesstimate.
This is an estimate, and this was presented to Lodgers Tax as well. I should have put that on there, and they recommended funding it through Lodgers Tax.
Okay.
And this will essentially get us everything we need to install the permanent exhibit, but also the temporary exhibit space. And the design that we're looking at is one that's, I guess the best way to put it is modular, in the sense that it relies heavily on digital displays. That way, in the future, as we change things, and especially in the temporary exhibit space, we don't have to go back out and print things and come back. Our operating budget will be significantly less to keep things moving. The casework itself is more than enough to fill the entire first floor exhibit space, and then some. So depending on the exhibits, we might even be able to move them around the village if we wanted to, have a small exhibit space here in Village Hall or at one of the other visitor centers, the airport, or something like that as well. So.
Questions?
they're really nice.
Okay, consent?
Yes.
For the regular meeting on the agenda, I'll add the language about the
Lodgers
funding through
tax.
Lodgers Tax.
Thank you, Jenny.
Well, it says
It
right
says there
there,
under
Does it?
financial impact.
funds for the,
Yep.
for this were approved by the Lodgers Tax.
It says it on this, but on the,
Right, I'll do it to match like what 14 and 15
yes.
language discussed in the recommendation.
Okay. Number 7, consent, correct?
Yep.
Number 17, discussion on recommendation from Lodgers Tax at the regular meeting on November 22nd, 2022, to award the Village of Ruidoso Recreation Department in the total amount of $335,000 in special event funding for the special events for the remainder of the 2022-2023 fiscal year. Yes, sir. Mr. Matt who, by the way, will be a Ruidoso homeowner here pretty quick, I understand?
I'm renting, but yes, sir, I moved in last night. It was my first night.
Oh, awesome. Oh, you're renting. I thought
Renting.
you were
No, I'm
purchased, but
renting
you
right
found a
now.
house.
I did find a house.
Hallelujah.
It is very difficult, as y'all were talking about earlier, to find something.
And Coughlin wants to know, did you have to pay the first and
did.
security deposit?
It was first month's rent and security deposit equal to that amount.
Yep. Just checking, I'm just wondering.
I don't care.
Okay, go ahead, Matthew Baird.
So this is for the lodger's tax. We took the lodger's tax last week, Mayor and Council. It was, or I believe last week, 2 weeks ago, actually. It's for all the special events for the upcoming rest of the fiscal year. So these are, the events include Ruidoso Adventure Tours for $100,000, the Ruidoso Outdoor Expo for $15,000, the Cinco de Mayo for $25,000, May Motorcycle Rally for $25,000, Wingfield Market for $10,000, Party in the Pines for $80,000, then the 4th of July for $80,000. While the 4th of July does technically fall in next fiscal year, we pay for pretty much all of it out of this fiscal year, so that's why it's on this list.
That's just amazing. All the wonderful things we can do.
Any questions?
Two things real quick. When is the outdoor expo going to be?
The Outdoor Expo is on March 10th.
Okay. And then the other is, I saw something, and I believe it might have been in the flyer that came out, but the Wingfield Market.
Yeah.
We're going to try to move that.
Yeah, that's item
That's the next
number.
item.
Okay, there you go. All right. Good enough. But it
Yeah.
won't change anything as far as that
No,
monies. It's
no.
going for that thing. Okay.
Exactly for that market.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay.
Well, congratulations. This is really your first item that you're presenting for approval.
Yes, sir.
And $335,000, so it's not
Yeah,
bad.
that's pretty good. Good job, man.
So next one's gonna be more than
Million.
that.
Yeah.
If you allow me, I'll spend all the money I
Yeah.
can.
If you find the money,
And so you had a meeting yesterday, was that just on the motorcycle, May motorcycle?
Yes, sir. May
So y'all-
Motorcycle Rally. We're really wanting to enhance it. We're, no, it's kind of referred to as a small rally in Ruidoso, and then, of course, the fall rally is the bigger rally, but we're wanting them both to be big rallies. We realize the May one, it's going to take a few years to get there. However, that's our goal, is to have two large rallies and make Ruidoso that, a place when
Yes.
they throw a bike rally that everybody from hundreds of miles around are going to come to it, because
Awesome.
Are we partnering with,
No, it says in addition to, because we're really about to lose any momentum at all for that May rally.
I know,
And historically, it's just gone downhill. So this is in addition to, that we're going to be doing kind of like what we did for the other one.
Yeah.
And we've already gotten tremendous feedback from the one that we did, the big one.
Back in the fall.
Yeah, the Ride Ruidoso, so that's good. So when are you going to start having it sounds like soon, the outdoor expo?
soon.
So when you get,
March 10th is when that expo kicks off.
kicks off
Or,
action?
yeah,
It's done, yeah.
The March 10th it starts, that expo starts.
So have we already started reaching out to vendors and?
So we're starting some. This year I've given the directive, and Cindy's working on a presentation to actually partner with REI. And,
Beautiful.
so they have a large pot of money that they fund outdoor activities with. And so we're trying to go for funding for this adventure tour, even though Lodgers Tax has offered to fund it. I would like to see if we could partner with them, get some of their funding from it. And then also, if I can attach a name like REI to the event,
Beautiful.
then it makes it a big deal. They also have a lot of marketing that they do, and, magazines and outdoor magazines, all that kind of stuff that they do. And so if we can get them a partner in our event, then they'll put it in all
That'd
their
be great.
magazines. And
Well, keep us informed when you're getting ready to have your first meetings. I have an interest, and I know Hooker has a big interest in it.
we'll do.
Find out what we can do and maybe help reach out and bring some of these folks in. Outdoor economic development with Lexi Navi, we'll need to reach out to them. So that's what I'm saying. Let me know when you start doing that. We'll start making phone calls to those people. Hopefully, we're not too late, Ron. Because, man, that's coming up quick. Is that when it was last year?
yeah.
Yeah, because all I did was just type it in right now, and it populated it from last year.
Wow.
That's where Tom bought me my kayak.
Well, that's where we got the idea for the RV, and I'd like a canoe or kayak too.
Oh, my gosh.
We go
my
kayaking
kayak
together.
is
I love
wonderful.
kayaking.
I would recommend that we get in touch with the motorcycle rally promoters ahead of time to collaborate and get a working relationship with them. You weren't here for the fall one, but the complaint was that they were giving out incorrect information to try to keep people from coming over to ours when really the two needed to come together.
Yeah, we talked about that in our meeting yesterday. We discussed with several stakeholders from the community that.
And the stakeholders you had yesterday were Anaheim Jack, so they'll probably be a sponsor. You had
Rusty Balls.
Balls was there,
The
Josh.
chamber was here,
the chamber,
the agency, which does our marketing for that,
and then our people.
yeah, and all of our staffs, and Champion.
Oh, yeah, Champion, he was on Zoom. Champion Harley Davidson. So, okay. Perfect. Good
Oh,
job.
Matt, I was just going to add there with the outdoor expo there, since we have new Parks and Rec directors there, that you might want to reach out to possibly the Smoky Bear Ranger District, because there's a lot of outdoor activity that's associated with the Smoky Bear Ranger District and trails such and such, because they weren't included last year, but
Yeah,
it's a big part of
Yeah, we want
the
to
outdoors.
include them, and then also you have the veterans thing that does the horseback riding that's moved into Fort Stanton, and they've received a lot of funds that they're redoing some of the property, the building. They've received a lot of money, I can't remember how much it is, to build equine trails, to tie into other trails. So there's a lot of that outdoor stuff that's going on, so we could see if they could come and put a display also.
Definitely, Mayor and Council, and that's another thing I would like to add to that outdoor expo is not only what's actually going on at the, the convention center and the expo there, but doing some tours, because that's when we kick off our adventure tours, and then doing some guided tours outside and maybe a hike or
Fishing or
yeah, it's like a
something.
fishing guided area or, a motorcycle ride that morning or something that, kayaking, things like that.
Because typically the ones that I've gone to, they do set that up where you go on hikes, you go visit things, and so we want to do it better than that one.
Definitely.
Because this thing's going to keep growing.
Yes,
I
I want this to be the premier that every person that's in outdoor recreation, and that's here's where they come to do a major expo.
Yeah.
If they're if there's a fishing guide or something like that, they come here because it's where they can get the latest and greatest at. That's my goal.
Awesome. Congratulations. I think it'll be great.
Consent?
Consent?
Yep.
Okay, now we'll move to item number 18, discussion on relocating. I want y'all to know, we haven't had one thing, I don't think, on discussion. Have we? A regular item?
Regular.
Nothing yet.
don't think so.
This might be a world,
We're trying to help you to have a fast meeting.
No,
be a
we got
record.
the housing, don't we?
The first one.
Oh, yeah.
That was the only one.
yeah, the first one, okay. Item number 18, discussion on relocating the Wingfield Market from Wingfield Park to Country Club on the corner of Country Club and Sutterth Drive.
So we're looking at moving it, the market, the normal Wingfield market that we have every year, moving it out of Wingfield Park to the Country Club property. We believe that'd be a better use of that property. It also gives us a little bit of opportunity to slow down the traffic on Wingfield a little bit to help us revitalize the grass. That grass has taken a beating over the last several years. That's why if you go out there now, we hate to see it, but there's a lot of mud and stuff during the winter time, and so we're me and my counterpart Steven are going to really work on grass in that park this next year, and this will help us take a little bit of the load off of that park to move it. Also, being at the Country Club property, it makes it a lot more visible to people coming into town and through Midtown, and so we think it will ramp up some of the business.
Yeah.
Is there a thought to name that property?
Well, we did consider that, and there's quite a bit in the naming process that we had set up. So we haven't come up with any type of a name besides what you're calling it, Country Club
Yeah,
property.
in-house, it's just referred to as Country Club property.
Gotcha.
We had looked at that, and then it was during the negotiations on it. Remember, we were going to talk about that, and it was decided no. And then is it an ordinance, how we name stuff, Raffle?
Mayor Crawford, members of the council, we just had Rodney had developed just a policy of how to.
Policy,
Because, we had different ones asking to name, different things after different.
Well, I remember it came to council.
Yes.
So
Had to do with the ballpark.
council approved it.
So, I mean, there can be just some discussion. Do y'all want them to look at some of those, come up with names, or just country club,
I
or?
was just throwing it out there, Mr. Mayor. I don't
Well,
have
thanks
a
for
preference.
thanks for the muddy in the
Yeah,
word.
yeah, that's it.
Throw it out
Okay,
there.
we'll just move forward with what we've got right now, and then maybe at a later date.
So how well attended is the Wingfield Market? Because it used to be the Wingfield Farmers Market, but this is not a place for a farmer's market. Nobody grows stuff.
So-
And then it kind of evolved into a craft show, basically.
Yeah, Mayor and Councilman Coughlin, it's fairly well attended, but it is more a craft market. That's something me and Sydney are working on to bring some of the more of the farmer's market back to it, reaching out to some of the farms in the Cloudcroft area.
Yep.
Or just different areas around the region. We have a very low vendor fee for the full year, and so I think they can make pretty good money coming, even if they have to travel here every weekend, it's still I believe the fee is $35 for the year.
Oh, my gosh.
And so they can make that money back in the first Saturday, and then after that, it's,
Well, I think changing it to Wingfield Market and removing farmers out of the name, it was a great thing, because people would come and be disappointed because they expected a whole bunch of produce, and this just isn't,
Yeah.
we're more ranching rather than farming in Lincoln County. And then you mentioned about moving it over there to give the grass an opportunity. So way back, these types of events used to be at Schoolhouse Park. And because of traffic and because of the compaction there, which wasn't allowing the grass to grow, that's when it got moved over to Wingfield. And now we're running into the same thing because we've got so much going on there. So I think it's a great location for it because, yes, it's that we have a problem with Wingfield Market for out-of-town guests not knowing where it's at. This way, it's going to be visual, it's going to be right in your face, and I think you'll probably see the attendance increase 50% minimum, putting it there.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, Matt, do you think there's adequate parking for this? Because I've driven by that and the way it's cordoned off, it looks like you could put, 12 cars in there maybe?
No, Mayor and Council, we actually expanded the parking about a month ago. And so I would say, yes, there's adequate parking.
Well, there's 40 or 50 spots over there now.
Yeah,
in there.
I think it's about 50 spots is.
All right.
And it's in addition to Midtown. You know, it's on a weekend, so the people that are down there, it would drag them that way. Now then, have you broached the subject of mobile vendors?
So, through the current code, mobile vendors are allowed for special events. So this is classified as a special event.
But it's every weekend.
Yes, but we still do a special event permit for it every weekend, and so they are allowed at that event.
It's just a
However,
lot of special events.
yeah, it's just classified as a special event. Outside of that event, then they're not allowed.
Are you limiting the amount that you can have there of food establishments? That's what I'm saying, is that I just don't want to turn into a mobile fooding event, come to Wingfield.
And do they pay $35 for the
Each
season
time.
as well?
It's not a one-time fee,
All vendors are that same fee.
So
35 one time.
Yes,
35, yeah, you could have a whole parking lot full of,
Because what you're going to have, I can tell you right now, you're going to have somebody come up and they're going to sign up for every one of them, pay $35. And we need to make sure are we checking to make sure they have a business license?
Yes, they have to have all,
They're collecting GRT here?
they have to provide all that to us.
environmental health permit?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And where they dump all their
Yeah,
stuff?
that was gonna say.
Yeah, and Adam makes sure all that.
Adam?
He checks off on that.
Adam checks off on that?
In Mayor Crawford, members of the council, that's Adams with the grease traps or where they're disposing of the grease. That's his concern.
Yeah, that's a big issue.
Yes.
What's the vendor limit over there as far as your spaces?
I don't have a number for you right now. We can figure out a vendor limit.
I think that's a good point. You need to give your space allotments over there as to what. And then we'll be having a discussion about overuse of grass pretty soon.
Yeah, we'll be having that in a couple of years. Is it first come, first serve, or do they have to sign up for the weekend?
So they'll sign up
Okay.
for,
And then is there any kind of criteria to limit similar vendors?
I don't believe at this time there is. That's something we can explore if y'all would like us to.
Well, I'm just thinking, you know, you're gonna have a
Food
ton of
truck.
food trucks.
That's
You're
the
gonna have
concern.
15, 20 food trucks there. Or
That's what I'm saying. I don't want it to become a food vending
Yeah.
every weekend and
Or you're
then,
gonna have a bunch of people making the little art stuff out of safety pins and beads and things like that, you know. You need a good mixture of products.
So I got a question there, just with the special events that you've had at Wingfield and then moving it over. So at the village-owned property there, do we have a policy as far as special events? Because this is kind of a little bit different than just say, a business owner and such applying for a special event, that this is encompassing quite a bit of vendors. So, do we have a type of policy, and could we look at that? Say like if you have vendors paying $35 a year to participate in a specific event, which is of course every week, maybe for the summer long, and then you've got a limit on that, say 35, I'm just throwing a number out, and that vendor doesn't show up for 3 weeks in a row, I think that person ought to lose their spot. And
I don't think anybody should have a spot. I think they should have signed up every time, at the time, not at the beginning of the year, because that's what we had before. All you're doing is taking place of the person we know that said, I want Wingfield Park every weekend, and we gave it to her almost.
For $75 or $50.
Yeah, and then she went out and created her own business on village property.
Subleased out the spots.
And then leased out spots. So now then you're acting as the inspector, make sure that we have all the permitting and everything, so we're doing a lot of legwork, making sure it's clean, providing trash cans, all those different things that we're gonna be providing. And I just don't want one vendor to show up and say, put my name on all summer. And then I'm gonna be there with my food truck for $35 to compete with the guy right across the street at Comal's that pays property tax, insurance, and all that stuff. And then there's another one right down the road, and you got,
Village Buttery.
Village Buttery right over here, and I know supposedly he signed off on it. Is that right, Samantha?
That Elliot signed off on this?
That's what I was told.
I'm not familiar with Elliot giving approval. I just wanted to touch base on the special events permit. What that is supposed to do, they don't come in for a business registration. Those fees should be making up for the loss that we're not receiving that GRT when they leave
$35
town.
one time?
Yeah, I don't agree with that. I haven't had an opportunity to meet with
Yep.
Matt on this, but their fees should be significantly higher to recoup a lot of those losses that our community is gonna see. And so, I think that they are a good attraction to keep, people there at the market. But, the fees should be addressed with food trucks, not necessarily the arts and crafts or the smaller.
Or even the food vendors. I know people that are loud in the farmer's market. You got a garden and you got 20 tomatoes, you don't want them to go to waste, or you got some, you bring them down there. I think $35 annually is fair.
Well, it used to be a one-time fee or $35 for the season, and it was something cheap, because Beth used to do that.
But if I've got a business and it's in the food truck, that's cheap.
Right.
And
That's a commercial business.
yes.
That's different.
And so we need to be able to differentiate. So I think we need to massage this a lot. If you can work with these guys before next week, because you're gonna have food vendors that will wanna camp out there every weekend. And then can I just leave my trailer here because I'm bringing it back?
Yeah, exactly.
And then we don't want that.
Then we'll have Pop's funnel cake over here.
Yep. And then you'll have just what you got down in the Downs, which looks good on a weekend, but not every day.
Yeah, and that, I mean, we can go with your recommendations and we'll look at this kind of stuff. And that's something that we might even write in the policy, is that there's not food vendors.
Do you have an overall objective? What's your, like the mission statement for, we have master plans for everything. We don't have anything for Country Club.
For the country club property, we have a conceptual drawing of, what it would look like, but no master plans or anything like that.
Well, I know we're not gonna be able to put a master plan together right now, but I think we need to add that to our list. But I think we'll need a conceptual, if y'all agree on, where the spots are gonna be. And if we're gonna limit, 3 food trucks in the mix, so that we don't have 20 and then you can't get the artists or the tomato growers or the whatever.
I'll work with Matt to develop something by then, just conceptual, like a layout of vendors, parking spaces available for the event, and just the intent of having food trucks and what that would bring to this market. And so we'll bring that back next week and go over the special use permit also and the intent of that and the fees that should be associated with different types of vendors.
I agree.
So we'll work on that.
I think that's good.
We need porta pots also.
Well, we have them out there already.
We-
We have our own restrooms out there. Right now, they're still there. It's that air-conditioned, heated. It's nice. It's a beauty. A lot of money. And also, we can reach out, because I do know several folks in the valley that still have the old orchards that they don't have enough apples to sell commercially, but they got a ton. And then we've tried to hook those up with people that do beers and wines and spirits. And that's been a little bit successful. But, you know, even those vendors, to be out there to show what you can, in the application of those things.
Well, I know there's one person that goes around and collects apples off of trees if they're gonna fall
And
on the ground.
apricots.
And apricots and all kinds of stuff, and we'll probably be over there selling that stuff.
Yep, exactly.
But I'm not opposed to food trucks, just in a reasonable number, you know? I think 2 or 3 maybe tops, but not.
And you got to keep in mind, that's something I think we need to reach out to the people in that area to let them know, because I know if I was across the street and I'm in the food business and I've got a church down the way that's talking about putting in a free coffee and sandwich shop for people in need,
They've been talking about that for a long time.
and they're moving that
Are
direction.
they, finally?
And then you got right across the street from you, you've got, we're for $35 or whatever, a cheap amount, you can come in and compete with me, but I'm paying taxes and I'm paying property tax and all the other things that go with that. I would feel a little cheated. So, you know, I want to be respectful of property and business owners in there. So, I think we need to severely limit those.
I had a comment on something previous with the naming of the country club property as we're moving forward with the Stinson property that we acquired at the end of Sedgwick. Can we do those jointly as far as the outreach and stuff to come up with a name for both of those?
Yeah. Did we decide we wanted a name instead of just calling it Stinson property?
I don't
guess-
think we should call it that.
Or a country, well, see, this is just like we called the Mashburn property that forever, and we've kind of now moved into the Commons, but I don't think it was adopted.
No.
We're calling it the Commons now?
Well, that's what other,
It was referred to,
Okay,
As the
I did
Commons.
not
I think
know
that was
or
Greg Corey.
Midtown Commons, because I thought of
When he
Midtown
was here, he
Park.
just started talking about it,
Okay.
and then the name just stuck, but it was
Yeah.
never officially adopted.
Okay.
Dijak was the one that did that one, I think.
Was it? I thought it was
I
Greg
think-
Corey.
On the Meacham
Maybe
Meadows
both of them,
property,
or-
we brought you all.
we didn't even have it
some
when he was here.
Ran
No?
a survey.
Greg Corey, no, we've only had that
an
property for,
open-ended survey.
Yeah, that's true.
what's that?
On the Meacham Meadows, we ran that open-ended survey and brought it back to you all for vetting.
I guess we could do the same thing for Country Club and formerly known as Stinson property.
And formerly known as the Canyon property on the other.
Yeah,
It's Country Club.
your computer easier to use.
I didn't mean to do that.
We can work with Carrie to get those surveys out and bring them to you all before we run them, but might be
Sounds good.
an option.
Okay. All right, so we want this on, discussion, because we're on
Yes.
regular item, because we're gonna need to look at what things you've come up with, so this will be regular. Item number 18, regular. So you can see there's a lot of
Thanks.
ripples that we wanna.
Yes, sir.
And the reason is because of the mobile vendor that we have, that's people showing up and setting up shop on the sidewalk and that kind of stuff, so.
Matthew, on that item there, we could have the conceptual drawing or whatnot. Let's put it on the screens
I'll have
so
a
everybody
PowerPoint.
could see that.
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
have a PowerPoint for you.
All right, Aragon, I know you've been waiting patiently.
We're actually gonna combine 19 and 20. 'cause it's-
19 and 20,
Yes, sir. It's,
okay?
Thank you, sir.
they're,
Thank
it's the
you.
same thing for each of us, and so kind of overlap a lot here.
Well, one of them is recreation, one of them is Parks and Rec, and so are those, you think that those should be combined into one,
They're a lot of the same projects.
but do they have the same components?
Of the 3 identified properties in the master plans that we wanted to discuss, they're combined as far as the amenities, the outdoor recreation opportunities. Because we are looking at Moon Mountain, White Mountain Sports Complex, and Wingfield Park to get direction moving forward.
Okay. Go ahead.
Mayor and council, so what we've kind of given you is we went through all the master plans and conceptual plans for these three properties, and this is more or less a list of the things that they have said need to be done at those properties. And so we're coming to you to get direction on priorities, what you feel we need to work on first. We have, in Parks and Recreation total, we have about $75 million worth of projects presented in all of our plans, and so we just want to kind of get some direction on what goes first. Some of them have, for example, Wingfield, we have a nice plan that the master plan shall have adopted things, but to kick off any of that is a controversial item of closing Center Street. And so, we're just coming to you for guidance to see which things in here would be priorities. And
Well, we have a master plan for each one.
yes, sir.
And see, I was under the understanding that Wingfield Park, that had already been decided, that we'd already visited with everybody, knocked on doors, talked to everybody, and then just recently it's been brought to my attention, people said they didn't know anything about it.
Yeah. People are always going to say that.
Yeah, they are always going to say that.
I mean, there are people who are against us closing Center Street.
And then I know people that live up there that think it's a great idea. And then,
The thing with Wingfield is all the approved amenities, the enhanced, are right on Center Street.
Yeah.
So in order to move forward with that plan,
it has to close.
Yes.
And I didn't know that I thought we had ixnayed splash pad.
So it's still in the plans, and so that's why I put it in here, in long-term planning. So that's something, like I said, we're looking for the priorities of, that might be a low priority to look at.
And I believe that we had already done a traffic survey. Yes.
Mayor Crawford, members of the council, we did do some traffic counts. They placed
We
some,
closed it off and then
yes. And
Rodney
then
and them did a traffic count on what it was going to be like.
yes, we used the counters, but we haven't done an actual traffic study by an engineering firm yet.
Okay, so are you proposing to us to do one or the others or pieces of each?
So some of these plans, we can do pieces of each. Some of them are kind of an all or nothing type of thing. For example, Wingfield, there are certain pieces we can do, but the majority of the new things take place in Center Street. And so that's kind of the starting priority would be to conduct those traffic studies and do by an architecture or by a firm and get that. For example, and also White Mountain, it's designed out in 3 phases. So that's another one of those that's kind of has to go together. Each phase has to go, or we lose sports field space that we can't work around.
Can I say something?
Absolutely.
I just feel like the White Mountain complex, I just feel like that's got to be a priority because, we've gone through all of this years of trying to plan it out and with the school and, this is for our kids. And I just feel like this is a biggie for us to try to complete.
And the school district is in process on doing theirs. They're moving their ball field up, which will affect us. Who's on that committee that meets with them? You are?
Me and
So didn't
Councilor
they say they
Letterman.
were gonna start moving forward on putting a new baseball field in?
Yes, a girls softball field, and that would be right there where Phase 2 is at, on that corner, that southwest corner. I
So,
believe on their facility master plan that they were working on that, and that's where trying to do something to get that moving because of the condition of the Gavilan field.
yes.
That
that's
probably
it.
won't be in
Restored.
any service for this coming
And
season.
then if we get that going, then we can work a deal on the Gavilan field to facilitate Moon Mountain. When I'm long gone, y'all remember that.
So, yeah.
Item number 2 is, we have money set aside from the pickleball people that they've been wanting to, and so we have a plan in there somewhere for that already.
Exactly, to make those courts all pickleball.
That's supposed to be getting started
Yes, absolutely.
in the spring.
In the spring,
Yes.
okay.
Yep.
And then we were also going to move the kids connection
Yeah, somewhere.
Yeah.
up
Yes, it's.
and then create a road.
Yep, around.
No, we did have a special meeting with the Parks and Rec Commission and went over some concerns that we had with the master plan for the White Mountain Sports Complex. It's a great idea, but it's gonna limit your ability to host. With that plan, it's eliminating 2 full-size soccer and football fields.
I didn't think we were eliminating any fields. I don't recall that, do y'all?
In the master plan.
So the plan that we were sent that was adopted, it shows.
By
that-
us or by the school?
By this council.
Okay.
Or by council.
Okay.
And this was the one that was sent to us by,
Yeah,
Moses
Groundwork Studio.
Studios.
Uh-huh.
It shows that the baseball fields are in a cloverleaf pattern, which with that, there's walkways in between them and stuff that take out a lot of open space, so we can't do the baseball, football, or soccer fields. There was another option that is what, the Parks and Rec Commission had, recommended. That when we met with them, they saw the one, they're like, well, that's not what we recommended option B, and that was option A. And the option B was, the fields were kind of pushed up against the sides, so we could have a lot more of that open grass space that provided those fields.
Man, I don't know about y'all, but I think we need to have a revisit to look at all of this stuff, because I'm like, a little fuzzy on it.
Mayor Crawford, members of the council, when they were mentioning that to me also, I wasn't aware of that because we didn't have that discussion during the council meeting when Rodney did the review on it. There was no mention of any fields being, removed.
We weren't removing nothing.
Right, and there was options, and we adopted the plan and then had the 2 different options, but I'm not aware of fields.
Some fields were gonna be added on the left side of that road coming in, that property that we purchased. They were gonna put some stuff over there.
Not on the plan they sent us, not on the whole property.
That was all parking
Well,
lot.
the road that we have now was going to be taken out. And it was going to be moved up to whatever, to tie into Kansas City.
Right.
Those are going to be reclaimed, and we were parking there, parking on the backside, and parking over here, and then we were reclaiming the entire parking lot. And that's where we were having green space.
Ovella Estes Road
Yeah.
is being taken out?
It was going to be moved up to our property.
Moved up to our property, and then it was gonna go all the way straight across to where it comes by the schools.
Right,
here.
Yes.
for
So
the
that the
bus,
people
exactly,
and
yes.
everybody
So-
could be in line and.
I think before we can address this,
Yes.
we need to revisit, because I think that with enough discussion, I think that we agree that maybe White Mountain would take priority. Y'all have the
Yep.
same
I'd say
thing?
White Mountain, then Wingfield, and Moon Mountain's last.
I agree.
That's what I
But I
recall.
still want the gondola or the lift on Moon Mountain. So keep in mind the baseball field in Gavilan.
But I thought over at Wingfield, we were talking that, parking garage, here it's listed at 8 million. I thought we were saying it was gonna be more like 30.
Well, that's a possibility now then.
I
We had
think
a
that's,
It was
conversation with someone that does parking garages.
So a parking management plan needs to be done prior.
Yes, that's exactly what they said. Before we do anything on Wingfield, that we need to do a parking management, not just about with the parking garage, but with all of Midtown.
Well, parking garage, we can go ahead and sign a contract for 8 million and then just have a lot of change orders to bring it up to 30.
So, I need to review my notes because we met somebody, a woman,
Yes.
that she had done parking garages wherever, and so we were wanting to, is that you?
This is Chris, right?
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry, I got a short memory.
We met with Julie Dixon with Dixon Unlimited.
Yes, that's it.
She provided, just, all the considerations that we need to talk about before we even approach building a parking garage. And, she is on contract, with one of the vendors where we can use, I can't remember the name of it, it's like cooperative. agreement, and they have a list of all the costs associated with each of the plans. But
So was what it was brought, some of the points that were brought to me says we've got to address all the parking before we even talk about the garage, before we talk about Wingfield Park.
Yes.
So again, I think it lends weight to White Mountain.
I agree.
So what I think we need to do,
What about the property the baseball field, that's school property, right?
Right. Yep.
So, I mean, we need to get back with them and together and look at this and say.
because our property goes to the fence and then around the ballpark.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to have to unfortunately pull this one and then focus on, y'all think a special meeting or a workshop on reviewing White Mountain? And then we need to get in touch with the school.
And I think because with these guys coming in, give them the potential to scrub whatever,
Yeah,
see whatever, you're hearing the history, then you guys have the ability, knowing that we're saying, okay, the White Mountain first, then the Wingfield, and then the Moon Mountain.
Mayor, do you think that a joint workshop with the school?
If we could get it.
Because it seems like when we do it, separated, we get different, we think we're going in the right direction.
Yeah,
And then all of a
and then it
sudden.
changes.
When's
somebody-
Clinton leaving?
He leaves at the end of this
I was
month.
gonna ask.
Okay, so we're back,
Placement,
so
January.
she doesn't come in until February.
who is it?
It's a lady that was, she was Region 9.
Who?
Okay. So what I think we need to do is, we have a chain, what do you call it, a communication chain that we've established. And so we'll either have myself call,
Dr. Bicker?
no, Shane Holder,
Okay. Thank you.
to see if we can set up a joint meeting with their task force. Because I was told the other day, they're moving forward with the new ballpark, like really quick, is what I was told. And so see if we can set something up.
Well, should it be at their task force or their,
Commission meeting?
their,
School board?
what do you call it, school board? Because what's happening is when we go into these meetings, we talk to a couple of people and then it goes back to the board and the board does something completely different.
That's what.
Yeah.
I'll reach out to Chairman Holder to see about setting up a joint workshop.
Yes.
Can we make a decision in a workshop? No.
No.
So,
Not a workshop.
so we have a workshop and then we'll take it to the individual commission counties? Okay, so I'll try to set up something.
We can get a sense of consensus.
And Mayor Crawford, members of the council, we're planning on a special meeting for the 21st of December. So if we could,
For-
that there was going to be for the approval of the award of the facade squad grants.
Yes. We're not going to get this done before the 21st. But I'll make a phone call here in a minute after this to see, because it'll take them a while to set it up. And then we'll get together, so we'll need to work on a couple of dates. And then we'll set that up where we do a joint. And then we'll need to get our information that we already have put out and whatever diagrams, A or B or whatever. And then work with them on their design to make sure we're still on the same page. And then we can get a consensus and then we'll either we'll add it. It's not going to be on the next count.
No, it's going to be next year.
January, February.
But that gives us the ability, because we did meet with the Parks and Rec Commission for 3.5 hours on Saturday. And so they had expressed concerns with, that's not the plan that was recommended.
Well,
And so
and
we can meet with them and put a presentation together and kind of their recommendations and bring them back to you.
And then throw your 2 cents in
Yes.
And we'll,
as to the
that would be very
concerns.
nice.
Because
And
we
then
really
if-
want it to be multi-use.
Yes,
Yes.
that's the whole
we
point.
don't want to limit ourselves.
And then and the special concerns that Counselor Jackson has requested for the dog parks, we want to make sure those are
Yes.
forefront.
So Matt and Stephen, did Will Moses send you the final adopted master plans?
Yes.
I know there was being emailed and there was some confusion with some of them, so we need to make sure we have the documents that the council did adopt,
Yeah, exactly.
approved. So we need to make sure on that.
And I think we need to get those well in advance so we have time to review them.
Yes.
Because coming to a meeting and giving a big little stack of stuff, it's like,
And then I'll find out what the final, because I was told that they already had a design they were going to use on the ballpark. And I thought it was fitting in. They were taking over their, part of their property, not ours, where the road goes around. But the road was still going to be there. So if we can get what, because they didn't ask us, they were just moving forward, you know.
but are they gonna, so they're gonna go ahead and make some changes to it, but still expect us to maintain it?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Plus, you know, we've all been talking about fences around those fields. You make those
Yeah.
beautiful fields and then all the wildlife gets on them and ruins them.
And we were told yay on the fences, then we were told no, nay. And then
Yes.
now on this deal, they said that the fences will be included. But we need to make sure that it fits with what we're gonna do. I'd hate to put in a new fence and then us have to come in and remove it.
Exactly. Mayor and council, I think a big portion of this was we just wanted that direction of what y'all wanted to see out of, like I said, we have a multitude of projects, and so.
Well, I'm glad, because we're gonna start going after grants hard and heavy on all this stuff, not that we already aren't. But so, if you'll make a note, to remind me to call Shane Holder, and we'll put that on our calendar to keep that going, to get a joint meeting in any information that they've already decided on their commission meeting, their school board meeting. So we can get together with that, and then if you can get us all the information on which plan the council chose, and then talk to your board.
And my understanding, because we didn't find it in the minutes, is I don't believe you folks chose, you just accepted the master plan.
I think we did just
And
accept
so,
it.
and then they just, it looked like Groundwork Studios didn't put the options in the one you accepted. It was just, they put the one option in instead of the, I believe there's 4 options that they created.
Okay, well, we definitely want to hear what your board has to say.
And that's exactly, I mean, that is so important to get the input from the Parks and Rec.
Yeah, we want to make sure we get your input from your board.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So I appreciate the 3 hours they did Saturday,
Yes,
but you're gonna
absolutely.
need
We're
that
very
other one.
appreciative of their time.
Yes.
They're really investing. They're wanting to see.
Well, they're gonna get a present. It's coming Thursday, so.
Thursday.
So anyway, I appreciate that. So y'all have your direction, and we'll remove this one from,
Correct. All we need, Mayor and Council, is a consensus that these 2 items, correct both of them, 19 and 20, are not ready for any kind of discussion or action, and will be
I think you
presented
have that
at a later
consensus,
date.
yes.
Right.
Okay.
okay?
And then while we're on the subject of the special meeting, do we want to talk about a time on the 21st that all of you all are available?
The 21st, what day is that on?
Wednesday.
On a Wednesday, the 21st.
I'll be here.
We have a JUB at 10 a.m.
Yep.
So the special meeting would either be 8 to 10, or it would be at 1.
I'm good for 8.
8?
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you. What do y'all want to do, Joe?
8's fine.
8, Susan?
Works.
8's fine with me.
Okay, 8 o'clock.
Is that going to give us enough time, though, for the,
The special meeting is just on,
It's for the facade grant awardees.
well, the facade grants, which there's 25 to 30, I'm not personally sure. So we've got our mystery committee
Okay.
that we've notified them, and we're going to give them all to them with some direction.
okay,
And then they'll go through all of those and give us the recommendation.
okay,
So Ron is setting that up now.
okay.
But Sam got us the stuff yesterday, and Carrie's bringing us the actual printouts today.
Okay.
Okay? So they should be able to make that determination, think that quick?
We're hoping within, by sometime next week, we should have it. And then we'll set the agenda, because there's a couple of board members that'll be gone by the 21st, around that time, by the holidays.
Done before.
We need to get it done as soon as possible.
Okay, and whatever we need to accommodate them, if they want to do it in the morning here, if they want to take them home, is that an option?
I believe so. We'll have a meeting with the committee and go over all the scoring criteria, and then be able to, if there's any questions, I think we can knock it out pretty,
And, yeah, and there was some discussion,
So we're only going to see their picks,
Recommendations.
Recommendations.
Yes.
Okay.
and they can go up to 40,000 partials, because I've seen a few of them.
Right.
Now, we had talked about being able to give them a stipend.
I think that was going to be for a different meeting.
There's a different meeting? Can't remember. There's so much that I forget. Okay, so we need to get on that today. Get them the information, the instruction, and then we'll move forward and hopefully we'll have it ready for the 21st. If not, we'll have to move it. Okay, good. So 21st at 8 a.m.
Mayor, I received some information during the meeting, which is the property management agreement that the village signed with Berkshire Hathaway. And in here, under security damage deposit, it says broker will collect the equivalent of 1 month's rent from tenant as security deposit, and that was already signed off by the village at that point. So I don't know if we would have to amend that agreement if we do something different.
You have to amend it.
Yep.
And it can be done.
Yep.
Yeah, it
So
can-
y'all, once we
Vote
get,
no.
huh? You vote no. But once you think about that, and if we come up with something to amend it, you'll need to make that motion next week.
Right. To amend it to.
Yep. Okay, so now then we'll have closed session.
Is there another meeting waiting on us to vacate? I see all the people.
So then will we be able to come back in here to close out our meeting?
Yes, well, Mayor Crawford, Council Coughlin, we'll come back in after closed session and
Okay.
they'll,
So if we can give it a motion to move into closed session, please?
Mr. Mayor, move that we move into closed session for discussion of limited personnel matters, citing 1015-1H2 MSA 1978. Further discussion subject to the attorney-client privilege pertaining to threat of pending litigation in which the Village of Ruidoso is or may become a participant, citing 1015-1H7 MSA 1978. Discussion of the purchase, acquisition, and/or disposal of real property and/or water rights by the Village of Ruidoso, citing 1015-1H8 NMSA 1978. Any action taken as a result of the closed session will be brought back into open session.
Second.
Okay, discussion? Roll call, please, ma'am.
Counselor Jackson,
Aye.
Counselor Hooker.
Aye.
Counselor Eby,
Aye.
Counselor Letterman.
Aye.
Counselor Salas.
Aye.
And Counselor Coughlin.
Aye.
Okay, we're adjourned, and we'll be re-adjourning after closed session.
I'll be leaving in 30 minutes. Okay.
So Joe, we're gonna go ahead and get started while they're in closed session? Yes, I'm coming. Do I need to get all my stuff out of the way?
We had a